All right, so we are recording. So the first part of chapter 7 with editing geometry, and let's bring up that, here we go, here's our editing level 1 training, and fillet, I think, is the one that it starts with. Yes, fillet. Here we go, we're gonna open that one up. And remember, you can do that by just going into the Learn. If you dock that Learn tab over here, then you'll be able to get to these at any time. So under the curve menu, it says Connect Curves right here. And this is where you can go like this and go like this, and you see that it trims it. This is kind of cool. Actually, to bring up the last command, you hit the right mouse button, and we're going to do it again over here. Okay, that's cool. And again, any questions? Oh, right mouse button there and there. Okay. And so that's, and you can also hit enter. If you hit enter after any particular command, it will repeat the last command. All right, so and then it does this other stuff where you connect these other lines as well. Right click, there. Oh, wrong way, undo. Actually, I think we need to, it's interesting, it didn't do it in the same way. There and there, okay. Maybe because I hit them on the outside. Oh. We're going to hit enter, go here and here, again, hit enter here and here, enter here and here. Oh, undo. Let's undo again. Let's try that with this and this. Okay, so if we click it on the outside, it'll delete the other part. So that's kind of fun. Then, and that's one way of doing kind of like a trim. I did talk about trim with some of you in the, did they even do trim here? No, trim happens a little later. Okay. But then we have fillet on the curve menu. We've got fillet. Are we doing arcs or, okay, we're doing curves, fillet curves. So we're going to choose the curve to fillet. And there we go. Now, what you can do too is you can change the radius around. I'm going to undo this. And we're going to go through this again, change the radius type 2. So we're going to go to curve, fillet curves. And here we go. We're going to change the radius to, let's make it 3 instead. Let's be rebellious. Okay, wait a minute. Radius is 3. Select the first curve. Select the second curve. There we go. Now we've got a much deeper curve. So we do understand what that is doing. We got 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 here. We're working in millimeters in this file. All right, and we've got fillet circles. That happens too. And yeah, because this continues to go down, we do fillet again. So let's fillet the curve, because we've already done this actually with our chair exercise, right? So if we go fillet curve and we choose this, why is it doing seconds? Oh yeah, now this is really big. Let's do it again. And we've got a different kind of, we can work this differently. However, if we undo and go back to fillet curve, we can change this radius back to 1. And remember, there's a lot of options in your command line that you want to check. Okay, here we go. Now this is more. Oh wait, I gotta right click, repeat, right click to repeat. And again, a right click to repeat. Okay. We could also do that and get these guys as well. I feel like I'm, yep, right click there and there. Okay. So, you know, we've got that. We made this one a 3. These are all 1. And you can see that that radius is only 1 unit. It goes across only 1 unit. So then we have on the curve menu, we're going to choose fillet curves. Again, now this time we're going to set the radius to 3. And we're going to go here and here. Wait. Escape. So you do fillet curve, set the radius to 3. Did I set it to 3? No, it somehow got set to 3.6 something. Okay, so select the first curve and then select the second curve. And there it is. And it says to repeat the command for the same side. So we're going to right click. We're going to go here. It's the first curve. And here's the second curve. And we got it again. Now, here's where we're going to use that trim command. So the way I like to explain it is that trim and split are very similar commands. In that trim, let's choose trim first. First of all, it asks for the cutting object to start. So our cutting object would be that. Then you press enter, and now it's asking for what you want to trim. So you may say that, but wait, we didn't want to do that, but it's anything that touches it. So let's escape and let's choose cutting objects. We're going to choose both of these. And we press enter when done. And now it wants to know what we want to trim. So let's go there and there. And now we have enter. We're going to end the command with enter. Now we have this curve, this curve, this curve. So we have 6 curves in this whole thing. Let's undo what we just did. And let me show you split. Split is a similar command. But when you choose split, it asks for the object you're splitting. Trim starts with the object you're splitting with. Split starts with the object that you are splitting. And split does not delete anything. It just changes the geometry. So if we select this circle, and then we press enter, then our cutting objects would be this and this. And then we hit enter, and it tells us here what it did. It's split those 2 curves into 4 pieces. So now we have this piece, and this piece, and this piece. So what trim did was it took these 2 curves and it deleted them for us. Sometimes if you're thinking ahead, you can pick trim if you know what you're going to be doing. But sometimes it's easier to just split things because you may have wanted to reuse those curves for something else. So I'm going to hit undo. That's something I like to point out is with split and trim, that they're very, very similar commands. They're right next to each other. But if you look at the icon for it, with trim, you can see that that thing is falling away and it's gray. Whereas with split, you can just see that the split, it just is in the middle of this little square box. Let's see. After that, it talks about filleting corners of a closed polyline. So this is a closed polyline. We can go curve, fillet corners. This is similar to what we did with the chair. And we're going to type in 2 for the radius and hit enter. And there we go. Look at that. It looks oh so very 80s. So then we have blend curve. Blend curve is kind of cool because what we can do with blend curve is we can take these 2. All right, we're going to go curve. Where's blend curves? And we're going to let's see, we're going to do the adjustable curve bend. So we're going to go with this guy and this guy. And now we get this little nifty little dialog box. And it gives us the option to, we can flip one, flip two, let's not flip either. It gives us the possibility of playing with these control points also, you know, to change how we want it. It also will do a trim and a join if we want to. If we go trim, let's not trim, let's just do a join. And we also wanted to show the curvature. Okay, so this is interesting because here with this curvature, it's showing the perpendicular off of it to show the direction of the curve. So this curve heads off in this direction, this one heads off in this one. We don't have to show that. It can get a little crazy, but oh wait, actually here it is. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there actually is a display graph for curvature, but I'm going to shut that for now. So I'm going to hit OK, and look, we've got a lovely little. As far as those curvatures, let's take a look at that. Let's go DIR. Okay, and it's telling us the direction of this curve. If I wanted to go a different direction, it could go that way. Don't worry about directions of curves right now, but I just wanted you to see that it's possible to analyze the direction. I'm going to hit enter. We're done. You can find that over here in direction at the bottom of analyze. Later on, when we start making 3D objects and things don't join or Boolean properly, we sometimes need to use those analyze tools to understand the geometry better, to see why the commands don't work. So then there's also arc blend. So let's undo what we just did here. And let's go to curve. Where we at? Blend curves, arc blend. So we're going to select the first curve near the end, and then we'll select the second curve near the end. And this is a very similar, but here we're getting the directions. It's allowing us to change this in a different way than the other one did. Okay, and then we've got our trim here. We'll say yes, join. When you do trim, you can also do join. Let's make that yes. Let's go there. So now we have one hole. Again, it's just a slightly different way of doing the same thing. You'll find that with Rhino that we have a lot of different ways to work. Okay, so let's see. Let's find the other layer. We want to go to the surfaces layer now. In the same, we're going to go here, we're going to hide the curves, and let's find our surfaces. Okay, where are we at? All right, I've got the surfaces on, but I do not see my curves that I'm supposed to be working with. Oh. Well, okay, guys, if you go to, yeah, that's interesting. We don't have any of the geometry that it's talking about there. So when you're doing the lofting part of this exercise, let's just make our own squares. So we're going to have a square here, and I'm going to hold down Shift, and it's going to make it into a square. And I'm going to do, now I'm going to offset that curve. And what offset does is it creates another curve either inside or outside. Let's make, but this distance is only 1/4 inch. Let's make that distance 0.75. All right, there we go, on the inside. Let's take that inside curve, and using the gumball tool, I'm going to raise it up. It also broke history because I use history a lot. It actually could be a little smaller, so I'm going to use the gumball tool again. This is kind of a little your preview for the gumball tool. If I grab one of these squares, I will scale it, but if I grab one, it only scales it in that direction. Let me undo that. Undo. Okay, redo. You guys know about undo and redo, right? Undo is Control Z, but if you go too far with your Control Z, you can always redo with Control Y. So I'm going to scale this, but this time I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to move this. There we go. All right. So I have these two curves, and scrolling around in the perspective viewport, you can see that one is below the other. We're going to use a command called loft. Okay, and let's type that in, or we could get it out of the surfaces menu, but here it's asking us for the curves that I want to loft. I'm going to choose this one, then I'm going to choose this one. We're going to hit enter. Look, there's those little direction lines again. You're going to start to see those more when you use other commands like sweep, network surface, loft is one. And what this is doing is it's saying in this particular exercise, we're going to change the, we're going to create a new surface. And because both of these curves have the same direction, it'll be fine. So, but it is important to look and see. I'll change these in a minute and I'll show you what happens if they're not the same direction. But so it says drag seam point to adjust. And right now I'm just going to leave it flip, automatic, natural, snap to knots. We're just going to say yes. And it built this surface now. I'm going to click off of it. Oh, here's the loft options, right? So we just want to make it normal for now. We're going to leave these options alone, hit OK. And there we go. We have this lovely, I'm going to go to Ghosted so you can see the insides of it. This lovely little form. That's great. Let's undo. And now we're going to, let's fillet the corners of this. Let's make that fillet radius 1. And we're going to do it on this guy too. Hit enter. Okay, so now we have these guys with the filleted corners. That's great. Let's do loft again. LOFT is the command. I'm going to select these in order. Hit enter. And now we've got those direction lines. Now, if I change one of those, and the way that you change it is you just click on it. Like if I click there, it comes back. If I click here, it switched it. Now let's look at these. They're going in 2 different directions. This is going to be interesting. So I dragged, I changed the seam point. I'm going to hit enter. And what happens here is it created, it kind of folded back on itself. In other words, it twisted. This is not printable. Even if I closed both of the edges, even if I took this and I went cap, okay, cap command broke history, fine. Even if it has a cap on the top and a cap on the bottom, it is twisted. This is not real. You can't do this in reality. Let's undo, and let's loft again, LOFT, and we're gonna go there and there, hit enter, and we're gonna keep those. This is why it's important when you get into these commands like sweep and loft. Network surface also will check directions of things. It's important that all of your arrows are going in the same direction. So here we go. We've got that. Perfect. This still has no volume, but if we did cap, select that object, hit enter. This is now what we call a closed solid poly, or a closed surface. Let's click on it. Actually, this is a closed solid poly surface. And this is printable. We could totally print this. We could send it to the 3D printer. And this is just the beginning of what we're going to be doing as far as working with solids. Now, I'm going to real quick show you some other loft things that we can do. We can create a, we can take this curve here. This is a control point curve. Boy, this hot pink is something else, I'll tell you. I don't usually work with this color. Let me take this and I'm going to mirror this. Mirror command. asks you to create a mirror plane. That's really cool. Let's also rotate one of these, and we're going to move it right up to here. Oh wait, we want to make sure that we're doing a copy on this. So I hit the C to bring up the command here to change it. But here we go. I'm going to put that right here, and I'm going to go enter. So in this case, I can also make this, I can loft these three curves, and we'll show you how. We go LOFT, that, and that. Notice I'm clicking them in order. All right, I'll hit OK. And this is just some of the ways that we can start to make forms. All right. But I wanted you to see some of this stuff. And we'll get one more little thing here with chamfer. Let's open up that. There we go. We're going to open up chamfer, and we're not going to change the. So in the curve menu, we're going to choose chamfer curves. And a chamfer is kind of like a fillet, but it's straight. So the distance is 1-1. Well, first we're going to click one first curve, and then 1-1, and enter. Wait. Looks like we need to do 2 on that. Select the first curve to chamfer, there. Select the second curve, there. Okay. But we have to make sure that we put in the distances, which is 1 and 1. And you see, if you look in, again, here's our units. And in this case, we're working in millimeters. So let's repeat that command, but this time let's change the distances. Let's make it 1, comma 2. Oh wait, first chamfer distance. Okay, it just asks for 1 at a time. Second chamfer distance is going to be 2. Okay, and now we're going to select the first curve to chamfer and the second. See what it did? It made a different angled chamfer. Let's do that one again. So I right click to repeat the, there we go. And let's change this to 2 and 2. 2, enter, and 2, enter. Okay, so now we're going to go here and here. Okay, I'm going to right click to repeat the last thing. Now I'm going to hit enter to repeat the last command. And we're going to do it again. One more time, right click. All right, and we got this. No, wait. It's one more chamfer. Okay. Ooh, that don't look right. What did I do there? Delete that. That was an extra. I wonder if that was left over from, anyway, there we go. So why don't we take this? Oh, this is not a closed curve. I'm going to close all these. Remember, when selecting things, if you drag from right towards the left, anything inside your selection box is selected. If you drag from right to left, anything that you touch is selected. And this is really powerful when you have to be careful about what you're selecting. So in this case, I can totally do this. And I select everything except that. I can hold down the shift key, and now they're all selected. I'm going to join those. I'm going to use the puzzle pieces over here. Same here. Now we're going to go this way. I'm going to select everything, but I'm going to use the control. When you want to unselect something that you've accidentally selected, if you hold down the control key and click on it, you can unselect it. Okay, so if we look at this, we also want to join. This time I'm going to type in join, J-O-I-N, hit enter. 8 curves joined into one closed curve. Remember, we can always see what we've been doing in the command history. It's usually hidden because we really don't need to look at it most of the time. But our command history keeps track of what Rhino has been doing. Up to, you know, there are limits to it. If you've been working on Rhino for like 12 hours, I think it only keeps track of like 400 commands or something. So we've got these two curves here, and one's at the top, one's at the bottom. Let's loft this. Okay, we're gonna go to the surface menu, choose loft, select ones to loft. Here we go, enter. Again, we're checking those arrows are facing the same direction. You can see in the top viewport that they are. I wouldn't always trust what you see in the front or the right, but especially the best way to do it really is to scroll around in the perspective viewport. But drag seam point to adjust, that's fine. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to say normal. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty wild, huh? So I'm going to cap this. And that's now let's go to the properties panel. Closed solid poly surface. This is totally 3D printable. You know, I could drill a hole through this and make it a ring, but I'm not. Okay, do we have any questions? I just wanted to give you guys a quick run through some of the meat in chapter 7 and what you'll be doing for your, I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to share my whole desktop now so you can see the rest of the instructions. So after working with chamfer, you're going to want to go to do this exercise here. This is a it's just a part. If you were into drafting and doing a lot of CAD for a manufacturer of some point, you might get drawings like this from your engineers, your designers, and then you would have to rebuild it and then do things like this. Fillet edges. Here's another one. This will teach you the move commands, copy, mirror. Move is actually a really helpful one. I mean, it's okay to pick up things and just drag them around in Rhino, but if you want to do it precisely, you can use the move command, because with your O snaps, let's say we're going to move this and we need to move it back. If we have our O snaps on for end, near, point, it allows me to select exactly where I'm moving this. So I'm selecting object to move, I hit enter. Now the point to move from, what I would do here is pick this little spot here, and I can move it precisely back over here to this. See where it says end? Whereas if I was just dragging that on its own, I wouldn't necessarily be lining it up properly. I mean, I can look through the top viewport, but it's still not as precise. Whereas if I go move, M-O-V-E, just type that in, go from end to end, that is exactly where it was before. Copy is another one where you can choose a point. Okay, if I go copy, I'll select this object, I'll hit enter, and then we'll go here. Then I can create all these copies, and there may be particular places that I want to put them. But I know that when I click somewhere with an O snap, and I know that I have this copied from that particular point, that's where it's going to go. Okay, so that's the copy command. And then there was undo and redo, and we talked about that a little bit, but we can go undo, but I didn't want to do that, so I can go Control Y, redo. You can also work with that here in our standard, here's our, where's it at? Here we go, undo. Oh, that's the view change. See, actually this shows whatever the last thing was. Oh no, wait, no, where is my regular? Oh, here's the regular undo. Okay, undo, and then if you hit on there with your right mouse button, see that little sub menu, right mouse button, then it redoes. It does a redo, undo, redo. Okay. Rotate is another thing, and rotate is really cool because you can also create copies of something as you rotate. That's important to keep in mind. Mirror, join, I've been showing you guys that. Scale is another one. And this is where you begin to realize how important it is to have your O-snaps on. But let's, here, I'll show you quickly what regular scale looks like, because we've got gumball, and then we have, and we can scale with gumball because we can just scale in one dimension. We can scale in the X or the Z. Again, I'm going to undo. But regular scale just works like this. You type in scale, and you have to choose a point on your piece. Okay. You choose the first scale factor and reference point, and then you choose another one. And here's where you can make it bigger or make it smaller. And if you knew, let's say we knew that we wanted to make this 150 millimeters wide this way, in this direction, in the Y axis, I would click on this. Actually, before I did that, I would make sure that I have a reference of 150. I'm going to make sure my mid snap is on. I'm going to make a polyline. I'm going to click it right here, and I'm looking in the perspective viewport to see that it's right where I want it, right there. And now I'm going to constrain the distance of this polyline. I'm going to make it 150 millimeters. Okay, let me scroll out. Oh my gosh, that's really big. Maybe we'll just make it 50 millimeters. Okay, now let's, what did I do? Oh, it made it 1550. All right, no, let's escape. Let's do this again. 1500 millimeters. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's go here. We got mid snap. Let's make it 30 millimeters instead. 30. So that's more reasonable. I'm going to hold down the shift key so it's straight out from it. Okay, now I'm going to hit enter. I have a line now, and I know that this line is 50 millimeters. I can pull up my details, or 30 millimeters. And here we go. It says line length 30. Close. So I want this to be 30 millimeters wide there. So I'm going to go scale, base point here. And then I want this point, and notice I'm over in here. I want that point right there to be 30 millimeters wide, but it's not right now. So I'm going to click there. And now I'm going to move this out. And because my O-snap was on for the end, I know exactly when it gets there. So now this is 30 millimeters wide at the bottom. I was able to scale that very precisely using O-snaps and a reference point of a polyline. So that's one way to scale. You can also actually just put in a scale factor. Let's go scale. And base point, do we want to copy? No. So we're going to put a base point here. And then the scale factor, okay, we can type this in. We can make this 0.5. We hit that. It automatically made that half. Okay. So here's the other guy that it just made. Whoop. He was hidden in the other guy. He was hidden in the big giant one. But now we have two of these. All right, I'm going to stop there because then it has gumball. The next thing that you'll be doing is the 3D puzzle using gumball. This is really a fun exercise to do. Make sure you save all these, guys. We'll have exercise 7-8 with trim. Then we're going to do surfaces. A little bit with the lines. And then the last thing that after you do some of this offset, array, this is the exercise you have to submit, the array. It looks like this really neat, like temple kind of thing. And then there's the gasket. And then the last thing is the link. This is probably one of the most challenging exercises that you'll be doing. So take your time with it. Like I said, review some of the stuff in chapter 6 about it. You'll be wanting to use distance constraints, angle constraints, and then you'll also be using, line, arc, trim, offset, join, fillet, and circle. There's a lot of different ways to do this. There is no right and wrong. What's important is that you come up with this final schematic, and then you join all those curves and extrude it, using the solid menu. I'm going to stop sharing there and see whether anybody had any questions at all. I know that this was kind of a little like quick whiz through editing geometry in this chapter, but I like to give you guys just a little more, because some of this is a little more challenging than the previous. Okay, if we don't have any questions, I'm going to stop the recording and put you guys back out in breakout rooms, and I'll take a peek and see how we're doing. And we're going to stop.